U.S. President Joe Biden has assured Democratic members of Congress that he has no intention of withdrawing from this year's election, despite calls for him to step down due to health concerns. Political commentators and Democratic legislators have expressed doubts about Biden's capacity to serve a second term, following his underwhelming performance in a debate against Donald Trump last month. During the debate, the president appeared fatigued and frequently lost his train of thought, which raised global concerns about his health as the November election approaches. In a letter on Monday, Biden reaffirmed his commitment to seeing this race through to the end and urged that discussions about replacing the nominee should cease. Here is Biden's letter to the congressional Democrats preserved as is. Fellow Democrats, now that you have returned from the July 4th recess, I want you to know that despite all the speculation in the press and elsewhere, I am firmly committed to staying in this race, to running this race to the end, and to beating Donald Trump. I have had extensive conversations with the leadership of the party, elected officials, rank-and-file members, and most importantly, Democratic voters over these past 10 days or so. I have heard the concerns that people have, their good faith fears and worries about what is at stake in this election. I am not blind to them. Believe me, I know better than anyone the responsibility and the burden the nominee of our party carries. I carried it in 2020 when the fate of our nation was at stake. I also know these concerns come from a place of real respect for my lifetime of public service and my record as president. And I have been moved by the expressions of affection for me from so many who have known me well and supported me over the course of my public life. I've been grateful for the rock-solid, steadfast support from so many elected Democrats in Congress and all across the country, and taken great strength from the resolve and determination I've seen from so many voters and grassroots supporters, even in the hardest of weeks. I can respond to all this by saying, clearly and unequivocally, I wouldn't be running again if I did not absolutely believe I was the best person to beat Donald Trump in 2024. We had a democratic nomination process, and the voters have spoken clearly and decisively. I received over 14 million votes, 87% of the votes cast across the entire nominating process. I have nearly 3,000 delegates, making me the presumptive nominee of our party by a wide margin. This was a process open to anyone who wanted to run. Only 3 people chose to challenge me. One fared so badly that he left the primaries to run as an independent. Another attacked me for being too old and was soundly defeated. The voters of the Democratic Party have voted. They have chosen me to be the nominee of the party. I decline to do that. I feel a deep obligation to the faith and the trust the voters of the Democratic Party have placed in me to run this year. It was their decision to make. Not the press, not the pundits, not the big donors, not any selected group of individuals, no matter how well-intentioned. The voters, and the voters alone, decide the nominee of the Democratic Party. How can we stand for democracy in our nation if we ignore it in our own party? I cannot do that. I will not do that. I have no doubt that I and we can and will beat Donald Trump. We have an historic record of success to run on, from creating over 15 million jobs, including 200,000 just last month, reaching historic lows on unemployment, to revitalizing American manufacturing with 800,000 jobs, to protecting and expanding affordable health care, to rebuilding America's roads, bridges, highways, ports and airports, and water systems, to beating big pharma and lowering the cost of prescription drugs, including $35 a month insulin for seniors, to providing student debt relief for nearly 5 million Americans, to an historic investment in combating climate change. More importantly, we have an economic vision to run on that soundly beats Trump and the MAGA Republicans. They are siding with the wealthy and the big corporations, and we are siding with the working people of America. It wasn't an isolated moment for Trump to stand at Mar-a-Lago and tell the oil industry they should give him $1 billion and he will do whatever they want. That's whose side Trump and the MAGA Republicans are on. And the MAGA Republicans want another $5 trillion in tax cuts for rich people so they can cut Social Security and Medicare. We will never let that happen. It's trickle-down economics on steroids. We know the way to build the economy is from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. We are finally going to make the rich and big corporations pay their fair share of taxes in this country. The MAGA party is also still determined to repeal the Affordable Care Act, which could throw 45 million Americans off their coverage. We will never let that happen either. Trump got rich denying rental housing to black people. We have a plan to build 2 million new housing units in America. They want to let Big Pharma charge as much as they want again. What do you think America's seniors will think when they know Trump and the MAGA Republicans want to take away their $35 insulin, as well as the $2,000 cap on out-of-pocket prescription costs we Democrats just got them? Or what do you think American families are going to think when they find out Trump and the MAGA Republicans want to hit them with a new $2,500 national sales tax on all the imported products they buy? We are the ones lowering costs for families, from healthcare to prescription drugs to student debt to housing. We are the ones protecting Social Security and Medicare. Everything they're proposing raises costs for most Americans, except their tax cuts, which will go to the rich. We are protecting the freedoms of Americans. Trump and the MAGA Republicans are taking them away. They have already, for the first time in history, taken away a fundamental freedom from the American people by overturning Roe v. Wade. They have decided politicians should make the most personal of decisions that should be made by women and their doctors and those closest to them. They have already said they won't stop there and are going after everything from contraception to IVF to the right to marry who you love. And they have made it clear they will ban abortion nationwide. We will let none of that happen. I have made it clear that if Kamala and I are reelected and the nation elects a Democratic House and Senate, we will make Roe v. Wade the law of the land again. We are the ones who will bring real Supreme Court reform. Donald Trump and his majority want more of the same from the court, and the chance to add to the right-wing majority they built by subverting the norms and principles of the nomination and confirmation process. And we are standing up for American democracy. After January 6th, Trump has proven that he is unfit to ever hold the office of president. We can never allow him anywhere near that office again, and we never will. My fellow Democrats, we have the record, the vision, and the fundamental commitment to America's freedoms and our democracy to win. The question of how to move forward has been well aired for over a week now, and it's time for it to end. We have one job, and that is to beat Donald Trump. We have 42 days to the Democratic Convention and 119 days to the general election. Any weakening of resolve or lack of clarity about the task ahead only helps Trump and hurts us. It is time to come together, move forward as a unified party, and defeat Donald Trump. Sincerely, Joe Biden. Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States of America.